Hello, everyone. This is Mai Vu. I am the radio host for Sex, Lies, and Consciousness Radio. And I have with me a full house today. How exciting. And we are here to talk about female ejaculation, particularly through the form of explosive sexual healing, the work of Ben and Jen Rode. It's so nice that, as it turned out, they can't be here because they're out checking out hospital for her to deliver her baby. And it's nice because then it allowed us to like freely talk about our experience and not have to hold anything back. It's not like we would hold back anything anyway. But I'm just really excited about this, and I know that Ben and Jen is also very excited to hear what you have to say about how this work has been for you personally and emotionally and work-wise, how it has impacted your life. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce everyone, and then actually, I'm going to introduce and have you just tell us like how many sessions you had with Ben and Jen, and then we'll go back and talk a little bit more about what the sessions are like, okay? So we'll start with Candace. Miss Candace.
Hello.
Tell them a little bit about yourself and how many sessions that you did with Ben.
Great. So just real quick, I'm a writer, performer, and sex and life coach. So I definitely love diving into sexuality. And I've also done the practice, I'm sure you've talked about in your program, orgasmic meditation and that for some time. So basically what I love to do is bring that part of my life out into the world and share it and maybe inspire and inform other people. So Ben and Jen reached out to me a few months ago just before I flew off to India saying, hey, do you want to do this thing? And I'm like, yeah, wow, why not? So never wanted to turn down an adventure. So
especially
I did.
Around sex.
Yes, bring it on. So I ended up doing one session with them. So they had like the 90-minute intro, and then they do the full 3-hour session. So I ended up doing just one with them, but it definitely, I guess we'll talk later about, what it was like and more about it.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, and you wrote a beautiful article on this work, by the way. I just love how you were able to capture it in words, what the experience was like, and I totally relate to it, and just love your writing ability and capturing sex too. It's just I'm envy.
Oh, thank you, May. Thank you.
Yeah. Daphne, come on in, honey. Yeah.
So I'm Daphne Cohn, and my business is daphnecohn.com. I'm a business mentor, a pleasure coach, and a crap slayer, which means I'm all about radical honesty. I'm about having fun, and it's really about connecting to what I call your feminine force, which is that place between your legs, your vagina, your vulva, pelvic bowl, and using that to guide you in your business and in your personal life. So Ben and Jen were a good fit for me, and I've done 7 sessions with them.
Wow.
And it's really been amazing. It's just amazing. I know we're going to get into it, so I won't say much now, but I love them, and I love the work.
Thank you. I'm so glad to have different range on this hangout, because I want to know what 7 sessions has done for you. I've done 3, so this would be really fun. And Ken, how many sessions have you done?
I guess I'm here officially representing the Peanut Gallery.
Yay, the Peanut Gallery!
0 sessions, right? But I'm a friend of May's. I'm a friend of Candace's. I've been around this kind of work for a while. I've been really curious and was actually telling May I was just going to watch the show, and then I got to be her technical advisor, and somehow I ended up here. So here I am.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, Ken, because you're not just a peanut gallery. You're a very informed and participative peanut gathering, and every time I have you on these hangout, you always add such wisdom and such honesty and vulnerability from the man's perspective. So I really appreciate you being on this call with us, aside from helping me with Google Hangout and the craziness of it all. So thank you. Man. And we have the lovely Miss Shannon Law and Mark Ranger.
Hello.
Introduce yourself, darlings.
Well, I'm Shannon Law. And
I'm Mark Allen Granger. I'm Mark Allen Granger.
They'll get the speed up together real soon.
This is exciting. It's my first Google Hangout.
Yeah, mine too.
So
This is
it's
great.
kind of cool.
Virgins!
Yeah, and I've had, I don't know, probably like 7 or 8 sessions with Ben and Jen, and I fell in love with them like immediately, and we're their secret weapons in business, actually. And I'm a little tired right now because we just had their second VIP day. So we like busted out their whole plan, and they're going global, baby. So
Yeah.
it's awesome. It's awesome. With, like all this amazing stuff that's about to happen. We're really helping them create a movement and just change the way that people look at sex and shame and all of it. So it's really exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because as we were talking today, we really got a sense of how they're willing to take a stand and make a change globally and in society about what people believe about sexuality and how it's at the core of shame and how shame is at the core of all of our problems. And so today I'm kind of, you know, they were getting ready to actually go there at Davis looking at water birthing centers, and I just love the way that they are committed to a high vibration lifestyle, and that's one of the reasons why they're able to take our work and implement it and make it explode. And as Ben would say, blow that shit up. And so,
Yes, he would say that. That is his
excited
language. Blow that shit out.
be a part of it and kind of be their voice a little bit tonight.
Yeah. And also, Mark, you're here also representing the partner of the one who received this work. So we also want to hear from you. You know, what's it like? Were you in the room when that happened, or were you out? You know, and what's it like? How does that impact your relationship? Can you tell the difference and all that stuff? So more to come around that.
Well, I can tell you right off now, it's summarized very easily.
Well, I don't know what's happening over there, but there's a lot of glowing going on over there. Okay, we're going to move on now to Roy. Not like I can't handle a little kissy and all that stuff. I thought that's adorable. Thank you. Roy, darling, you just came back from London. You're jet lagged, and you're here.
Yeah. Well, I feel that my path is through sexuality. I'm healing from cancer. And I feel that I'm a miracle, and it helped me recognize that I'm going to do whatever is necessary to penetrate and grow and feel my desire. And sexuality is a path for me, and I'm trying to also, I'm married, and my wife Joan, I invited her to participate in this hangout, and she declined, and I think that she's feeling some jet lag, so we're going to watch the rerun. But I want very much to be able to be part of this experience for her as part of work on myself.
Yeah, and Roy, I hope it's okay to say this, but you've been the one who you represent the husbands. So many husbands out there who want so much to bring this to your wife, to find ways to introduce it to her, make it safe for her, be patient with her pace and all that stuff. And at the same time, you can feel the pull and the push of this work and the explosion and the excitement and all of that and the frustration of that. So that's a really beautiful place that you bring. I get a lot of people emailing me or commenting on Sex, Lies, and Consciousness around, you know, how do I do this for my wife, and how do I get her to do this? So to me, that's who you speak for, is that segment of husband out there who want it so much for their wife, to share that with their wife.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not an easy task.
No, it isn't. Which is strange to me that it wouldn't be easier, actually.
Yeah. It's a vulnerable thing, so yeah, we could talk about that too. Thank you.
Okay.
And Sue, come on in, honey.
Hi. Sue Seibert, and I work with Mai on SLC. And I was, I guess, introduced to Ben and I've never met Jen, but to their practice through May, your experiences that you shared with us. Now, I guess it's been several months ago. Never had the experience myself yet.
She's a wannabe.
I'm a wannabe, and what I think.
Come hither, darling.
Soon, it is in my plan. What I really love about the experiences I've had so far around all of this is just the openness, the willingness of everybody to talk really honestly and rawly about it, because that's the way I think that it should be. And I love Ben and Jen's approach too. Like, it's just, this is matter of fact. This isn't anything to be ashamed of, and it's healing. And Candace, I really did love the article that you wrote through your experience, and just positioning it in such a way that it's loving, it's compassionate, it's why wouldn't we want to do that for ourselves and for our relationships?
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you represent the wannabe woman out there. Like, I know about this thing and I want to get in here and taste it already, and let me get the logistic in here.
Exactly.
and give me more information, right? Yeah, there are a lot of, we have a private invited only Facebook group called Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, and our members on there are a handful of the women on there that do just like Sue, I'm itching to do it, and I live too far away. How do I get there, and all that stuff. So I just love the no pun intended, but the explosiveness of this, the hunger and the desire, both from men and women about it. Yeah. So where should we start? Oh, I also, somebody help me remember this, which is I wanted to make sure that I include this one particular voice. A client of mine also has gone through this. And she had found herself, she'd done about 3 sessions, and she's found herself crying a lot and a lot of vulnerability coming out. So I want to also save some time or touch on that aspect of the opening for us too. So just in case I forget, okay?
I can remember that and add to that. So.
Oh, good. So let's go. Let's start. So where should we start? Why don't we start with Candace, and since you only had 1 session, it's very recent. Briefly walk the viewer or whoever is going to be seeing this, through the process, and then what was it like for you personally?
So the process is the first, there's like an intro session, just the nuts and bolts. There's an intro session where there's no taking off the clothes, no touching. It's essentially, they go in, they ask about what is it that you're looking to get out of it, and they kind of mine through the things that are in the way of you getting that. Like, a lot of the things that came up for me was I didn't feel safe being a woman in this world. Like, I was always on guard, like, for being raped or anything like just being violated in any way that was like unsafe. So something for me was like, it's safe to be a woman. And there was also this thing about looking ugly. So it's just like, because, I don't know, if you've done it, it's not, it's gushing out of you. It's not like it's so dainty and now let's have tea. It's like,
okay, you know what, yeah. we need to just open that up and jump into that one right there. Yeah. It's not a flattering process.
Right.
It's not like porn. Let's just put that out there. This is not like porn, and actually real sex is just never like porn, but aside from that, right? So go ahead.
From a male perspective, it's beautiful though. I just want to put that in there. It's really
why I
beautiful.
love having him here. And I'm sure all 3 of you men agree to that. For some reason with us women, we are so image conscious and looking good and looking pretty. I don't know, just crazy, right? And so anyway, yeah. Right? And our face is just, it's the ugliest face that I probably have ever made, and will ever make, because you have to get there to get there.
Well, it was more than just my face. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna fart and poop on him.
Oh my
I'm like, oh, and I grew up like, a little Southern, and just kind of like, it's church behavior. When you're in church behavior, you don't fart. And I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna fart in front of a guy. Ah. And of course, they're like, your body is in a state of involuntary action. It's going to do what it's going to do. It's totally natural. You're a human. So like that definitely opened me up to being, okay, this is a space where if that were to happen, then like just let it fly. And so,
and that's the meaning of healing. Like I want to keep bringing that in. Like we're so conditioned to sex as a performance rather than sex as involuntary things that we do, and that none of the looking good has to be in sex, but somehow it's so mushed together. But so to make peace with pooping, peeing, farting while that's happening, and let it be part of the process, it's just so crazy healing.
Yeah. and isn't that often part of the process too? I mean, I've heard part of the journey is you actually feel like you have to urinate, and just part of that, going up the stairs, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the sensations.
Yeah. I mean, there have been times in the past where I play with my boyfriend, and somehow when we're done, there's a big old puddle on the bed, and I swear to you, I have done this. I literally kind of like go, did I pee? Oh my God, was that really, that's good or bad? Oh my God, and quickly just clean it up and not talk about it, So for Ben and Jen to say, that's what we want you to be doing, it's like, oh, okay, and then to shoot it out, that I haven't yet to accomplish that one, but anyway.
Cool. I'm just to be clear, I'm going to step away for 2 seconds to turn off a pot on my stove, and then I'll be right back.
Yep. So Daphne, how about you? Come on in, honey. Take it somewhere. Where do you want to go with it? Share your experience.
Well, I guess since Candace was talking about the beginning of it, I'll start by talking about the beginning. And I think when I began, some of my biggest fears, and what I noticed over the process was the full surrender. So surrendering in front of two people that I really didn't know very well.
Right.
It's the most personal thing I can imagine doing in front of somebody else. And I didn't know them very well. And so that level of surrender, and also what came up a lot was the feeling like at first that somehow I needed this whole thing. For me, there's a one issue that's been an issue for so much of my life is about pleasing people, doing it right. And so it was like, am I doing it right? Is my body reacting in the way it should be reacting? Am I moving the way, I don't know, should I be doing it this way, should I do that? And so much energy into what Jen and Ben might be thinking about me. So learning to shift out of that and just be in my experience, and that took several sessions for that to happen, but that in and of itself was huge. That by itself just gave me, I feel like, this strength in my core that I had forgotten about, that I had disconnected from. So that's one thing. I mean, I don't know how long because we have so many people here, but that's
let's bring Shannon in here, and then we'll keep going. How about you, honey?
Well, when I first started working with Ben and Jen, it was I was actually not with this amazing man.
Oh, we have changed partners since then.
I was actually in another relationship, and I was like, should we stay? Should we break up? Like, what should I do? And I was just really kind of at my wit's end. I didn't really know what to do in my last relationship. And so Ben and Jen said, well, if he's not the one, we're going to blow him out.
And you did.
And within a week, that's what happened. And then Mark, we've been friends for, over a year. And so I would call him and tell him about my sexual healing experiences.
I'm like, okay.
No, I bet you it's different than that. Give us a little bit more. It's like, okay, on the phone.
No, literally.
Yeah.
I mean, we've known each other professionally through some circles, and we just run into each other, literally once every 4 months. I mean, And then we
Mark, come a little closer to your mic,
sorry,
honey.
sorry.
Yeah.
and then we ended up coming to we met at a barbecue unexpectedly, and we spent probably 2 hours just talking about masculine and feminine energy, about human sexuality, and there was a pretty good rapport, I think, between us there. But she was kind of in that space right where she was. I think you were just getting ready to have your first session, and she was starting to question her relationship with her man, and there was really nothing between us other than a nice rapport and a professional relationship.
Yeah.
I think what happened is in that conversation, I think Shannon felt safe in having those kind of conversations with me. And so as she was going through the process, she would call me up, and she was always in a great mood. So I'm all, this is good stuff. Keep doing it. This is good.
Yeah. And I think, the process that you go through, so many people focus on the G-spot orgasm, and I mean, obviously that's a big part, but it's not as big as everybody thinks that's the main thing, or that's the main show.
Yeah.
And what's even bigger, for me anyway, was all the transformation and the healing and the letting go of control and, releasing a partner that it just really wasn't working, and then making space for my amazing lifelong partner. And, one of Ben and Jen's specialties is they help you find your lifelong partner. And a lot of my girlfriends, of course, I've told everybody about it, and I've turned all my girlfriends onto it, and so we have sexual healing comparison stories.
Oh, that's so great.
It's crazy.
And,
it's so much fun.
And, for me, we really kind of got involved several months later, a few months later after she'd done it, and she hasn't had any sessions since we've been together. But what I have seen through her is it spawned an evolution and personal spiritual growth, a spiritual path, where she is releasing a lot of history, starting new, really in touch with who she really is, and letting go of false sense of self. And it's really quite wonderful to be on that path with her. And so I think it really created an avenue where she's living her purpose, and she's freeing herself of, just like that relationship, she's freeing herself of the things that no longer serve her, and she's doing it with tremendous courage. And she's really become quite effective at following her joy, her laughter, and what I notice is what that does in me as a man, when my woman, my queen, is happy and excited and in her feminine and really moving into celebrating pleasure in just all areas of life. It makes life for a man wonderful. And so it really is amazing, and it's something I've never seen before.
Nice. Beautiful. Thank you. Let's see. I had 3 sessions, and for me, the first session touched on some old stuff that I didn't even know still ran me, and I shared this on my radio show episode. But really, for me, it got in touch with I got in touch with the I don't even have the right word, and it's also part of the how do I say this, but like the inappropriate behavior that my dad had with me when I was a teenager, when I just was discovering about sex. And so to lay on that table and then having of course, me being who I am, I didn't just go in for a private session. I went in, and there's Ben and Jen, and then I invited my girlfriend Cindy, who visiting from Toronto, to be in that session with me, and 2 other girlfriends who wanted to come if they wanted to, and my boyfriend. And Ben and Jen are kind of like, okay, most people are not quite that open, honey. And I'm like, no problem, bring them all in. It's like how I gave birth. Bring the whole village in, no problem. But what that did, though, was it really, for some reason, I don't know how that happened, but it got me in touch with that experience, and I thought I had healed that and forgive it and all this stuff. And there was just another layer to it where I really couldn't enjoy sex fully because it was guilty. Because what I got that was left over from my experience with my dad was that I liked it as that happened. I liked it, and I didn't have a place to talk about that all my life. And I just hit it. And then this somehow just like exploded out of me, and I had to just be honest and process about that and going, you know, what really bothered me is not the fact that that happened to me. What bothered me now is that there's that truth about I liked it and I didn't know what to do with that information. So that got blown out of me, and that just, I mean, as I reflected back, you know, that it impacted my relationship with my ex-husband and with sex all throughout my adult life, that I didn't know how to release that. So first half an hour of my session, that's what got blown out. And I was like, okay, I'm done now, you know, but oh no, we got to keep going. So it was really quite an amazing to keep experiencing and letting things come out as that went.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So as you're saying that this you know is what you processed and it's what came up and you know was able to come out, is this you know while you're just talking or you're on the table, like what, you know, like I'm so curious about it.
Yeah, it was I was on the table, you know, naked, and they're doing the energy work, and Ben is rubbing me and all this stuff, and Keith is rubbing me, and you know, like I was held and loved and cared for, but I couldn't. Ben kept saying, "Let yourself be aroused," and I'm like,
oh,
that's not gonna happen. You know, and I'm like, I felt like I'm at the doctor's office lying on a metal table. You know, I did not feel like I was on a massage table with love and all that stuff. And that whole conditioning of shutting myself down because it's not okay to enjoy pleasure, and that alone be witnessed by all these people, you know, it was just so, my body just couldn't comprehend that. And so Ben's like, well, tell us what's happening, you know. And so I just like verbalized that, and it just kind of came out, and I got a big cry about it, and then of course, you know, Keith, my honey, was scared, and he's like, should I then not touch you? And you know, and then I get to give permission. I get to say, no, you may touch me. So that's how I took back the power of that child that I lost. And that I could say, okay, now you can enter me with your fingers. You know, like it was just so subtle and so small, but it was so big that I'd never owned that process before. You know, like I laid on that table. I made a contract that I'm going to experience this with these guys, so I'm safe. So it was assumed that that was going to happen, but because I got in touch with that, I get to say, stop. Take your hands off of me, and like really own my body and own the process. And at that moment, if I had said I had enough, that would have been fine, you know. And then to be a choice every step of the way like that was totally healing and life-changing for me. And it was so unexpected.
I think that's, oh, may I say
Go
something?
ahead, honey. Go. Yeah,
I
please.
think that's the piece that's actually the part around empowering women. It's not like, oh, I just gushed everywhere, now I'm a powerful woman. It's you, every moment is a choice for you to say yes. And if you're right now, your yes is yes, thank you, please stop, then you are a woman in her power, period.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a really valuable piece that I took away from this, as you know, as what their thing isn't just about, you know, ooh, the G-spot. It really is about healing women through sexual empowerment.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but me and a lot of people, you know, are very interested in the squirting part, the water coming out part, but the part that you talk about, Candace, you know, all the many little steps that comes the way, that along the way, that is why this is a therapeutic work rather than a sexual performance work, you know. And but I know I came into it from that old training of like, this is going to make me a hotter chick because I now, you know, have a new badge that said I can ejaculate, you know, and I can blog about it, kind of thing.
I think this is a really, really important distinction, and I think Ben finds that to be a really important distinction because him and Jen have such a sacred they want to hold such a sacred space for it. You know, they get frustrated when people talk about him finger banging, or the way, you know, they are so in touch with what they're called to do in the way of a movement, that it really is about, this hangout is really good because it allows us to really get clear on what this movement is about, and how the world really is ready for women to step into their ability to be of an influence, to make change in the world. And if we can help them, rid them of shame, and go and have that process that you're talking about, that process you go through, being held, being seen, and being able to be who you are. And I think part of my calling is working with men to understand how to hold that space as an enlightened man, for women to go through the process they need to go through to be in their power.
Yeah.
And so it's really a beautiful opportunity for us to come together as a community to really spread this word about healing and empowerment, and how it can lead to change when women are empowered to do what
and I was just going to say, Daphne, I know, I could feel you. You want to say something.
Okay, yeah. So a few things was, one of the things I wanted to say was, it's so much more. I actually didn't even go into it for, oh, I'm going to be able to ejaculate or have better orgasms. I said, my friends were like, oh, well, why the hell are you doing it? That's not what you're doing it for. And I said, I'm doing it because I know that I have all these blocks, and I really want to release, like, the fear and the shame that we're talking about. I want to release that. I want to let go of it. And I feel that some of it is being seen. It's having that be seen, but it's this journey that you go on, and then you have these guides that are willing to keep walking you through it, and they're guiding you the whole way. But you are the only person that can get yourself to the next part of the journey. And there's something so powerful about that, about knowing, oh crap, I did it. Like, I went through, for me in the beginning, massive fear. Like, I thought I was going to pass out on the table. I was like so overcome by fear. And to keep going, and to keep, as Candace says, keep making that choice. Like, yes, I'm going to keep going. Yes, I'm choosing this. I'm in my power right now. And get to that place of, I did it. That's amazing. Like, I went through all of that. Is just the biggest gift, I think, a woman can give herself.
Yeah, and I want to highlight this because I want to speak to all the men out there, because most likely the men are going to be the first one to watch this video, because it says female ejaculation. So here's the thing, guys. You know, I know you guys want so much to do this for your wife or to your wife, or kind of, I forget which fingers. But anyway, you want to do this to us. And as you can see, this is really vulnerable and scary. It's kind of like if we bend you over and do that to your ass, you know? Like, that's kind of almost equivalent to that. But not even that drastic. And you know how much you hate that, right? So here's the thing. It's like, if you want to do this for your wife, this is for your wife. So it's a journey that you're actually inviting her on. She must be a choice about this. You got to have some sensitivity of how big this is for her. So it's, to you, it's a sex play. To us, it's huge. It touches a lifetime of wounding. It uncovers stuff that we don't even know are in there, and it's scary like heck. So, you know, this is a lot of reason why your wife or partner are saying, I'm not coming near that, then I'm not ready. And they get to not be ready. And they get to watch things like this to help them get ready, and however long it takes for them to get there.
You know, so if I could add to that, I think that ultimately that is what relationships between men and women really are for. I guess I could say the masculine and the feminine, because it could be 2 women or 2 men. But ultimately, intimacy in a relationship really is about healing. And I think that all of us are being called to cultivate the courage to be in that space, because it is scary. And so much of our conditioning is that when we're vulnerable, we put up blocks. We check out. We go back to coping behaviors, and being able to create a sense of patience and understanding and safety for one another. I think it goes both ways, for the men to create that and for the women to create that.
Yeah.
Is really the edge we're supposed to be learning right now. And that's what we want to start getting people to experience. And then from that, you have a beautiful, passionate, intense sexual experience that brings you even closer together.
Yeah, totally. Yep. And for us women, it's about, for I also share this to a lot of women, and I say, oh, I finally, get to do some female ejaculation, and they're like, oh yeah, I do that with my boyfriend. It's all good, and they still hold it like it's a sex play, and they don't get the depth of that. And for those women, you overlook this too soon. I want you to slow it down and really look at the healing stuff, and how often do you use sex as a performance thing rather than an understanding thing, a journey to help you dig deeper into yourself.
And so I just wanted to add, to add something to that is the work that Ben and Jen are doing is a lot more than just squirting, Yeah.
Although you do buckets of squirting.
Yeah, and I mean, the work that they're doing, they're blending. I mean, it's really their method. It's really the explosive sexual healing method. That it's Jen's energy work and Reiki, and she's like one of the most clairvoyant reads. I'm just like, I totally trust her. She's just like such a clear channel. It's amazing. I mean, I get more healing even before we go into the room with just her reading. It's amazing. And then Ben, like when your subconscious mind is the most open and the most suggestive to, programming basically, like how about you just program your mind for success and for love and abundance and fun and everything that you've always dreamed of having. How about we just plant that into your subconscious mind, And so Ben,
which happened to reside down there instead of up here that we thought all this time.
Yeah, exactly. It's really at the base of a woman's power, So Ben's bringing in the power of language and hypnosis and NLP, and so it's really their special, unique gift, and that it's their explosive sexual healing method that's really making such a big difference, and why we all love it so much.
I mean, I think it's that method that puts the healing into it.
Yeah,
it just happens to be through orgasm is the state of trance, and the state that they use to get you to release, to get you to surrender, to trust, and really commit to something deeper inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think there's tremendous healing available for the men too, or for anyone who is, like, I could say stroking, or who is, stroking the G spot.
Facilitator of this, yes.
Thank you, the space holder. May, you had said, like, the men that are interested how to get their women or their partners or whatever into this and that, they're doing it for them, and it's an amazing gift for them, but it's also like for the men to be vulnerable and say, I really am interested in it for myself too, and here's why, ups the intimacy in the relationship and automatically sets the stage for that healing piece. And for a man or a partner, a masculine energy or whatever, for a partner to be able to witness their partner in a state of surrender and to feel them there and stay connected there, it just creates a level of intimacy and connection, not just if you want to get spiritual, I happen to be spiritual, so, or like spiritual talk, but like, a connection to like a source or to God or whatever you want to call it while connected to your partner. It's just like, wow, what a way to heal the masculine and feminine. What a way to just build a relationship on total trust and love. So I just want to emphasize the masculine healing part in that as well.
I remember the sacredness feeling when I finally, had gone 3 rounds, and like he emptied me out, and Keith was there, my honey was there, and my girlfriend was there, and Ben and Jen were there, and just the sacred feeling that went over all of us was amazing. I don't normally have that feel God when I do these things. I just feel good. Feel God, feel good. I'm one extra O in there.
It's all the same.
But I do feel that sacred quality. Go ahead, Ken.
Candace, and then you really spurred, a couple of things in me. I've done a little bit of this, and it's one of the most sacred things I've ever done.
Yeah.
To be in that presence of a woman who's in that healing energy. Yeah. And it is so much, at least at first, about healing. I mean, to me, it's like a 2-stage thing. You heal all that's in there. I mean, when I put my fingers in this woman that I was healing, it was like there's a whole world in there. It's just like I got that she carries her whole world in there. Everything that's ever happened to her, especially sexually, she keeps in there. And like I would put my finger down on one place and there'd be one emotion, and I'd move my finger just a little bit to the right and there'd be a whole different emotion that would come out. I mean, so all of these different things were just stored in these individual little places inside her. It was amazing.
And all we think about is how dirty, stinky, smelly, or unattractive we are. It's just so sad to.
It is.
It's so lovely to hear you say that, and it's just so sad how a lot of time us women hold ourselves and out down there.
Yeah, and I mean there was such a incredible bubble of sexual energy that was so healing around both of us. That, like you said, Candace, I mean, I was just so healed by it myself because I was in that field,
Wonderful.
And I want to say a couple of things to the guys that are going to be watching this.
Yay!
This work isn't about, getting her to squirt. It's about, if anything, consider yourself creating a really solid container for whatever she has that's going to come out, because you don't know what's in there. You may get incredible rage, you may get tears, you may get incredible orgasms, you don't know, and it's going to change from minute to minute. So your job, not your job, I don't even want to say that because it's not a job.
Yeah.
But the way to hold this is as if you're a big solid container for anything that she brings. You're the rock, that lets her let all that stuff that's just held inside her whole life come out so that she can really start to be free and express herself and bring all that sexuality that's trapped underneath all that stuff and have that start flowing.
Yeah.
In her life and in your life, if you're her partner. So does that resonate with your experience because I don't know Ben and Jen.
Well,
okay.
Since I've been
or
doing
add to that, whatever.
Since I've done that work with Ben and Jen, and because I do the Sex, Lies, and Consciousness radio show, and people do email me, and that's like the hottest topic. That's the place where people get onto my website, and that's the many clicks that they go to is busting the myth of female ejaculation. That's the blog that gets the most hit and everything. So I actually created a series of videos to show men and couples how to do that for each other, and they're simple. They're just really heartwarming, and I talk about. I just set it up well for you guys to start practicing with each other, and so it's not up on my website yet, but it will be because there's so many things that I do, but it will be in my website, and it will be in the membership section. So consider, if you want to learn how to do this for your partner, you can go to Sex, Lies, and Consciousness and look into my membership section, and you can see the video. Today is April 18, so give me another 2 weeks. How about May 1st? I'll promise to get it in there by then. Anyway, let's talk about the crying bit, the vulnerability part. Candace, you said you're on it, so the start of this was I was debriefing with my client, my coaching clients for a long time. We have a long relationship, and she started doing the work with Ben and Jen, and then she came home after 3 sessions. She's like, okay, I cannot stop crying. I have to go into business meetings, and this is just not okay. Is this going to stop? Is this vulnerability going to stop? So you want to touch on that, Candace?
Well, the short answer is yes, it will stop.
Yay! Good news.
Good news. And it's just like, imagine if you've had like a clog in your drain, and you've got like this water hitting this clog or whatever for years, and all of a sudden the clog gets moved. Well, all that backed up water is just going to start, and really that's one thing that tears are, it's it's all orgasm. Actually, she's in a state of continuous climax actually right now, and it's just coming out of her eyeballs as opposed to down and out through her pussy. I'll just speak from my experience. I only did one session with them. Thank goodness for my previous orgasmic meditation training, because then I had an understanding of orgasm and of like the process of coming down. And that's essentially what a lot of it is like you've opened to a huge level and you're like really high. And then when you're starting to kind of come back down and integrate into life, it just feels like, oh, never ending. Oh my God, my whole world, my whole paradigm has been shifted. And for me, even after one session, for a few weeks, my sex with my partner changed a lot. Like before, we have kind of a wide range of sex, but before, I kind of liked, oh, let's do something hard and naughty tonight. And like he would start to penetrate me and I would just start bawling. Like it would bring up this thing around like this man, like, seriously violating me, which on one level can be really hot, but there it was just like, it was almost seizing me up. And so I was like, I really need to stop right now. And so for a bit, I would start to cry. And and the more that, and God, I love my man. And he was just like, okay, that's where you are. And even though maybe on one level he's like, man, I'm sexually frustrated, I'm getting blue balls or whatever, he knew and he loved me. And over time, it just, it took a bit of time. I just kept crying. I kept journaling. I kept yoga. I kept going back to the sex, like connecting sexually. I didn't like run away and freeze up even harder. I just kept going back. And eventually everything like flowed out and melted. So I guess that's what I can say about that piece.
That is so important. Like what you just said there, like don't freeze up and go back. Don't use this to feed your fear mind, just because it's new and it's a state of vulnerability. Like for most of us strong women, we tend to kill our vulnerability part, right? Because it seems so vulnerable.
Yeah.
But that's what you work so hard to get to. I mean, God, to unearth decades and lifetimes of covering up and tighten up and holding in there so that you can cry at a drop like that. It's just like, oh my God, be grateful. Don't shut it off. Yeah.
I think it's really important for us. Marianne Williamson talks about return to love. She talks a lot about tears. And I think it's really important for us to understand that tears are a natural thing, that it means miracles are coming into our life.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important to reframe, even as men, it's important for us to reframe that tears are a celebration. They are a movement, a shift from the old to the new.
Yeah.
So whether you're feeling it yourself or you're witnessing your partner going through healing, those tears are a form of intimacy and healing. And that's really what we want to do. We have a tendency to want to push it away and not cry. But in reality, it's the angels are celebrating.
Yeah, and you said that big word, intimacy, like in my interviews with husbands in relationship and all that, that's what they actually want, is intimacy with their wife. And we're not trained to cultivate intimacy. We're not trained to support it. We are trained to run away from it and appreciate it. Roy, it feels like I just got a call to bring you in. Like, do you want to add anything to the conversation? You always have something wonderful going on in your head there. Oh.
Just had to unmute myself there. I've been enjoying listening to everybody and feel on board with this whole conversation. If anything, my mind's been running away because of my own personal experience with my own relationship with Joan. I have to keep bringing myself back to the conversation. So I'm in a real struggle. It's a challenge, but one that I embrace with Joan. And I don't feel I have a lot of time because after what I've come through, I've been given an opportunity to be fierce, really fierce about my desire. And yet there are some things which just take time. I can't be in a hurry. I have to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the tension that I'm within right now.
Yeah. Can I share them a couple of data points about you and how old you are and what you went through?
Okay.
So just so you guys know, Roy is 70 years old. And he just recently survived and is now thriving from a battle of cancer. So he got the call, you know, both with age and with illnesses. And Joan and Roy had gone through a heroic journey together to support Roy and help heal him and heal their relationship to continue to grow and find the connection and the intimacy with each other. It's an amazing journey that I got to kind of get a glimpse of what's been happening with Joan and Roy. And I know Joan is not here, and I want to honor her greatly. Like her name has been, you know, put out here, and I almost feel disrespectful to her because, you know, like she is an amazing woman with so much capacity to be partnering with Roy to this whole human journey of what it's like to be in a long-term relationship with each other, you know, to death do us part and to sickness and health and all that craziness that we do. So thank you. Thanks for bringing that in.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Because my husband, I wanted to just speak about like the being married and going through this a little bit. When I first brought this, like when I went to see Ben and Jen, I knew I just was like, I have to do this. There's no question. And I brought it up with my husband, but I've never been so certain. So he was like, okay, great. If you have to do it, then I support you. And it's interesting because I've talked to a number of friends since then who have said things like, my husband would never let me do that. Or I don't think you understand like how like crazy that is that he's letting you do that. And so I've talked to him about it. And I just wanted to share a little bit because I feel like I asked him like why he feels so comfortable with it and what comes up for men. And so he was talking about just how for a lot of men it's so threatening to think of someone else touching your wife, turning your wife on, arousing them, like all of that, like it brings up so many different things. I mean, there's so many issues there.
Not to mention the one that's touching you and getting you off is really tall, handsome, young, lots of vitality, and oh my God, you know, who wouldn't want him to touch you kind of thing. So anyway, I just wanted to add that little bit in.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So there's that part of it, but the one thing that he said is, for me, if you're more in your joy, just as Mark was saying, if you're more in your pleasure, if you're more connected to your sexuality and your power, then it's that much better for me. It's that much more meaningful for me. We have that much deeper of a relationship. So just to put out that if that is coming up, like if there is that fear or someone's feeling threatened, that it really only deepens the relationship, that it just adds, okay.
Totally. Yeah, and thanks for bringing that in because that is true. That was why my boyfriend had to be there in the first session because when I said, hey, I gotta do this with Ben and Jen, he goes silence, right? And I go, what do you think about that? And he's like, so this guy quit his job so he can do this for his life work now?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you have something to say about that, honey. And I'm like, so are you going to be at the session? Yes, I am. And so it was so funny because I felt like a fire hydrant on that table, you know, because like Keith's hands was on me first, and that he's going to be the one to do it because he's done it for me before, and he's going to prove it that he can do it, and that we don't need any young guy to go in here and do it for me. And so it's all from that. I totally get it, you know, from that. Bless his heart, he just wanted to love me and please me and wanted to be the one that I get all this from. Yeah. And it's not the paradigm of where I was coming from, which is, oh, this is sexual healing, underlining the word healing work. You know, I'm doing a personal growth program here. I'm not going to, you know, come up with an excuse to go play with a guy in front of his wife with you there, you know. So it's it speaks
And
to
if I could
where
add
we
to
are.
that,
Yeah.
if I could add to that, May, to the perspective of the men here, if your woman comes to you with this request, by letting your own fear get in the way,
Yeah.
you're perpetuating the way men have been holding women back. And so I think that we have a role in healing ourselves. If your woman has the courage to come and say, I need this, it's not about her going and getting off by another man. She is seeing the healing. I mean, and one of the most intimate things you can do to a person is have skin on skin and kiss them. And this is nothing like that. You know, it kind of has a clinical aspect to it.
Very clinical.
And so I think men need to free their own thinking and say, if my woman's asking me this, this is an opportunity for our life to really be dramatically different, both in the bedroom and out of the bedroom. And you really need to have a second thought about who are you to really give her permission. She's coming to you. She's coming to you for the two of you to make a decision together.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that you support that and deal with your emotions as part of the process. This is where the two of you are going to go deep, you're going to feel, and then you're going to come out on the other side at a much higher vibration in your life and in your relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you should take and you should do everything you can to get the money to pay for it, you know, so that you don't hide behind the money or the time or the illogicalness about it just because you have fear about this, you know. It's just kind of like that like I love what you said there, Mark. It's such a disservice if your woman has the courage to say, honey, I want this. Oh my God, do everything you can to support her to get this, because it's not easy for her to say that. Yeah.
And if she's coming to you to say that, she's at a place in her life where she's feeling really stuck.
Yeah.
And it could have a lot to do with you and the dynamics of the relationship. And she maybe she's not in a place to talk about that with you. So I mean, it's so critical to give her the room and the space to get that healing. Because it's going to heal you in the process too.
Totally. Yeah, because when the wife or the partner is healed and is she joyful and tap into that luscious sexual energy, you know, it's all good, right, man?
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, I think for the women, speaking for the men, I
Yes.
think what we want is inclusion. We
Yes. Oh, thank you.
You know, I mean, that's so important. We just want to be part of the process.
Yeah, and you don't want to be replaced, right?
Right. Well, not that first and foremost, of course, but then we also want to be, you know, we want to be part of, like, what is going on and why and what's your desire, and, you know, we want to be part of this, you know, this healing process.
Yeah, and Ben and Jen offer the opportunity for that. So
that's great.
That's what's great.
Great.
Yeah, they teach it. Not only can you be present, but also like you can work specifically with Ben, and he can teach partners, men or women, how to do this work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is there space for the men's fear too? I mean,
totally.
There's a lot of fear in men.
Totally.
You know?
But what you're saying is really true, Ken, because we don't take the time. This is part of the healing work again, right? We don't take the time to communicate at this level of intimacy and honesty. We just react to it, right? Honey, I think I want to do this. Why? What's wrong with what we've been doing? You know, we're good.
Right.
Let's keep going. And then it's like, no, we're not good. You know, and so it's reacting to each other instead of like, oh, really? You know, what does that bring up for you? Why is it that you want this? Oh, that's I feel challenged by this request because, you know, I'm fearful, like everything that you said. So
I mean, if you have the bandwidth as a woman, ask him what he's afraid of.
Yeah.
Let's talk about his fears.
Right. And we have to be able to be good at listening to that too, because us women don't like to hear it when our men just fearful either. You know, it's kind of like we feel like our request is wrong, especially because it has something to do with sex and vagina, and so, you know, we come with guilt and shame anyway. So it's just all crazy making.
Welcome to the gates of intimacy.
Yeah. Sue, come on in, honey.
Yeah. So I have, I guess, questions about the healing aspect over a period of time, and, you know, what's that like? You know, we've kind of touched on it, like, but, you know, what happens when you go through one of the sessions, you know, and I can imagine that things change and you're growing and transitioning, but then, you know, shit happens, and, you know, what happens when you know, kind of hit a block. and you have the choice to kind of go unconscious and go back to what you've always done, or is it easier to like move forward and through that? And then this is also kind of touching on the I guess the importance that I would think with your partner, them being able to be part of this and helping you through that transition as well.
Yeah.
So that's like I'm really curious over like a several month process what it's like.
Yeah. Why don't we start with Daphne on that one? Since you've done 7 sessions, and how long has it been since you've done them?
Yeah, so 7 and then the initial one. But how long has it been? I guess I'm in the 3rd month of it. So 3-4 months since I started. I'm not totally sure. So like when shit comes up, how do I deal with it now? Is that what you're saying? Like,
yeah.
Is it pain? Well, I think, let's see. I feel like one of the things that's happened as a result of doing this work, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, touched on it earlier, is I just feel like there's this, I don't know any other way to explain it, but like this solidity in my being. Like I just feel like I walk more solidly on the earth, and people have said that, like, oh, you look, several people have said, like, you look much more like grounded or something, or just you look different a little bit, and I think it's like, I don't know, something has shifted on a core level. So okay, crap still comes up and I still freak out and all that stuff happens. I mean, I don't know if I'm ever going to stop. I'm sure if I could stop that, they would be sold out forever. But I think, but there's something different. It's like there's just something different. It's like I'm my own source. It's like I can come back to me in a way that I couldn't before because I trust me in a way that I didn't before. And I'm more comfortable, I'm more intimate with myself in a way that I wasn't before. So I'm just on a deeper relationship with myself. And from that, so much changes.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I mean, I was stumped by that question too because it's so subtle, but as you're talking, I could feel it resonate inside me. So this is really great. Shannon, your turn, honey. You've had it for a while now too.
Yeah, so I've had like 7 or 8 sessions, and it's been over like the last 6 months. So I think I started working with them in September, I think. And then it's been a couple months since I've had a session. So I think what happened for me was, and I think this probably happens for most people, is, they help you dig up your deepest, darkest stuff that you've been dealing with. So all that, I'm not good enough and I don't deserve this, and all those, consciously, most of us are aware enough to know that stuff is BS, but we still listen to it, right? Because it's all that subconscious stuff that's really running the show. So in those sessions, they go so deep and really start to reprogram your subconscious mind. So it doesn't mean that you're never going to have problems again, or you're never going to bump up against stuff again, but I catch myself faster. I don't go as deep for as long in a depression, or I've dealt with food issues, for the last 20 years. I've dealt with a secret, and now I'm actually writing my story and I'm sharing my secret with my family. I'm like, oh my God, who am I right now? So it's just like I'm amazing myself of who I am and who I'm becoming, and I know that their work has been a big part of that. So that's kind of how it showed up for me. And I think it shows up differently for different people. A lot of my girlfriends have worked with them, and everybody's journey is a little bit different. But whatever your deepest, darkest stuff is, that no matter what you've done, you haven't been able to break through it, they will help you with that.
It's a way to break through it.
Yes.
As Ben would say, we'll blow it out of you.
Blow it out. That's right.
How about you, Candace? What I know it's been recent, but like, what do you see that's happening?
To touch on what was said earlier, my partner has said to me, like, more and more frequently, and maybe because we're getting married in 9 days, but maybe because...
Oh, congratulations!
Yay! But maybe because I think a lot of it has to do a big piece around this. He's like, you're just glowing. You are so radiant. You are so beautiful. Like, he'll just say it in a way that's like as if he's discovering me for the first time. So that's a really big, I guess, physical piece. For me personally, I'd like to say that I only had it done about like a month to a month and a half ago, but in that time span, I've now filled up like my client roster like halfway, which is pretty amazing. And I can just feel in my body, I think, you know, the thing was like, you know, shit keeps happening to you, whatever, but like there's a way in which my body, my energy has expanded that it can hold all, like, more of this, more money, more clients, a wedding, and oh my God, the wedding is costing how much? And like, oh, I just want to fight now. But it's like, rather than taking it all personally or letting it hit the core wound and thinking like I'm a worthless human being about it, it's just like, oh, this is just what's happening in my life, and actually it can be fuel for my turn on in a like really big, hungry way.
Yeah. That was like, oh wow, I kind of had to like let all that in, you know, like the whole series of like from Daphne to you and Shannon. I was like, wow. For me, the third one really was interesting because it helped me get in touch with emptiness, emptying out. Like when I was done, I felt emptied. In a good way, not in a bad way. And for the first time, I really felt empty.
I'm froze.
Am I frozen? Oh,
sorry.
That's okay. So it was so interesting to be in that state, and somehow I think it does impact me. It's just so subtle. I don't know how, but I do relate to what Daphne is saying. There's some core source that I feel much more connected to, and it's all mine, and it's emptied out, and once in a while I'll go in for another loop change, you know, to empty out some more. And so that's kind of so I'm feeling more like a maintenance program than an awakening thing for me. I've done so many things around sexuality and all that stuff, so that's kind of how it has impacted me on this, with this work. All right, guys, we have gone beyond an hour, and I so appreciate you all being here and for your candor and your fun and play and just really appreciate your sharing and you guys for representing the Peanut Gallery and getting good questions. Yeah, I want to be. I actually want to give you, Susan, what's it like to witness this and hear this and as a wannabe?
Well, I need to move to California like tomorrow, and
you don't need to move to California. I remember our friend drove from Kansas to California and did a whole week of work with them. And you can stay at my place, and you know, we got you, baby.
I know. And thank you, because I may take you up on it. I think that it's just like I'm still in that wow. Like I want that core shift, because it's resonating so deeply with me. Like that, I know that this is one of my big next steps. So I still have a lot of, I think, kind of anxiety around some of the logistics, like we were talking about at the beginning, but that's just my own shit and whatever. But I'm feeling called to do it.
Yeah.
Do it, girl.
Do it.
Do it.
just today, in their VIP session, they put together a VIP sexual healing retreat.
Yes.
For people that want to come and spend a week with them and go through 3 sessions and get the whole workup over a short period of time. And one of the things that I think is really important, you guys, is they're not even here, and everybody on this call that's had a chance to experience them. This is coming from the heart, and what that means to me is the work that they are doing is real and authentic, and it's connecting with us on a core space where we're saying we're called to do this. And I think this really truly is the start of a movement, and out of honoring them and the work that they're doing and the way that they embrace us and support us as being their coaches, we want everyone to go out there and continue to spread the word about the healing aspect of what this is, and that it really is something different and unusual and powerful.
Yep.
So thanks for letting us be on tonight, May.
You are so welcome. It's my pleasure. It's just been wonderful to have you. And Daphne, nice to meet you and get to make a connection with you.
Yeah, and I just want to say, as part of what Mark was saying with spreading the word, that I have been asked me to mention this, or said that I'm doing this course called the Sensual Woman Warrior Immersion, and they are part of it. And so it's all, it's growing. They're getting out there in a big way.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Why don't we do a quick round of that? So, Candace, how would they get a hold of you if they want to talk to you or even work with you?
Great. So you can just check out either my blog, which is www.theorgasmiclife.com, or my website, www.candaceholdorfcoaching.com. Or you can just look me up on Facebook. There are links on both of those to my Facebook as well, but best through my websites, and you can push contact and fill out the sheet, and bam, I'll email you back.
I'll go to the Elephant Journal and look up several of her articles. I'm a regular writer for them. And I have tipped you many times, by the way. So.
Thank you.
Yep. And Daphne, how do they find you? And you don't have to do the www. Obnoxious.
Yeah, you can find me at Daphne Cohn, DaphneCohn.com. That's the best place to find me.
Perfect.
And I also just want to say thank you. It has been so beautiful to be in your presence. You're just a really wonderful, you just held the space beautifully and done a great job. So thank you.
Thank you. And Ken, would you like them to get a hold of you? Like maybe men could get a hold of you, since you do know a few things about,
The easiest thing to do is look me up on Facebook or Google+.
And your name?
And then just put King and Horn together. Kinghorn.
Ken Kinghorn.
Right.
Yep.
Thanks, May.
You're welcome, honey. And Mark and Shannon, how would they find you?
Well, the best thing to do is that we have a 2-day event called the Persuasion Equation. And at that 2-day event, we show you really how to turn your calling into your message that gets you paid what you're worth. And it takes you everything through what we call the fastest path to cash. And it's the exact system that we helped put together for Ben and Jen.
Yes.
When
and
they
me
were
too.
only,
And me too.
And me
That's
too.
right.
I mean, they were struggling making only $300 or $400 per session when they were doing this. And so we can't give it credit because they're amazing people. Just to give them a context to really go out there. And it's interesting because we really are attracting a lot of people that are surrounding themselves with sexual healing. So there's some reason why these are the kind of people that are coming to us and investing in their business. And so if you'd like to come to that, we have them a couple times a year. Go to thepersuasionequationlive.com and you can learn all about it. And we have, sometimes, if you're lucky, you'll catch it when we have some scholarships and you can come for the 2-day event and really experience a motivational experience that gets real and raw about attaching your calling and your vision to your message. It's good stuff.
Well, I wanted to jump in there and say that I am one of their newest clients, and I came in the morning and said, in tears, right? I don't think you can help me. 15 years of struggling with this business, and I don't think you can help me. But you know what? I am not leaving here until you fix this. So I don't care. You may think this session end at 5 o'clock. I am not leaving until I'm satisfied. They completely turned my business around, and really, I'm so happy and focused and so clear on how to bring my big work out in the world. So I really appreciate all that, what you stand for and what you've helped Ben and Jen and now me with that. And Ben and Jen are the one that called me and said, you got to talk to Mark and Shannon. And I said, okay. Well, I said, nah, forget it. I've done that before. But anyway, so I have to fight, you know.
Yeah.
And Roy, would you like them to find you if they like to get a hold of you?
No, certainly I'd be happy to talk to any man or woman in a relationship or a marriage.
Yeah.
About this process, where they are in it,
and
where
how
I
to
am.
support your resistant wife or your wife on her own journey toward what you want, right? Like you're like an expert of that, Roy.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
So how did they get a hold of you?
And just to Roy Alexander on Facebook to friend me, and we can begin a conversation.
Awesome. So Roy Alexander in New York, just in case.
Yes, thank you. That's right, in New York.
All right, honey. And Miss Sue Sabert, how would they find you?
Well, anybody can come over to sexliesandconsciousness.com, and we're both there. And then I'd love to connect with anybody on Facebook. It's Susan Seibert, Seybert. I think I'm probably the only one. But I'm there, and I love talking about real, raw conversations. So
Susan holds the most safest place for, beautiful, ordinary woman to start exploring this thing. And, if you're struggling with marriage, relationship, and you want to break out, all that stuff, she's just awesome. So I love the space that you hold.
Roy. Hello.
There's Joan.
Oh, is that Joan?
Oh, skin. I muted you, Roy. I'm sure. So, I will close this out. I'm Mai Vu. I am the radio host for Sex, Lies, and Consciousness Radio, and we broadcast 12 o'clock on Monday at noon on Pacific time every week. And you can find all the archive shows on Sex, Lies, and Consciousness, and also lots of wonderful blogs and conversations and titillating things. And I also do these Google Hangouts often as I can get to it. And so the next one we're going to do on conscious porn. Yeah, a new friend popped into our Sex, Lies, and Consciousness life and was talking to me about porn, and I realized that, oh my gosh, porn is everywhere, and it impacts all of our lives, and we're just been, ducking under and thinking that it will go away, and it doesn't. It impacts husband and wife, partners, all age, and it is the #1 sex education tool for our teenagers, which really bites. It's just awful that that's the case. So I think we need to get in touch with porn. We need to make peace with it. We need to get to know this thing, and we need to have better conversations around porn. So that's my next Google Hangout that I will be bringing people together and have conversation around. So you guys are welcome if that is a subject that is of interest to you too.
And May, thank you for the work that you're doing. To add on to what Daphne said, beautiful work today. You just were so nice at holding the space and let everyone be respected. And anybody that's tuning in today really got a gift. I thank you for letting us be a part of it.
Thank you.
Thank
It's
you,
my
May.
pleasure. I'd like to be able to do this and get paid for it, and this is all I do. I would be so happy. Could you guys make that in my business plan, please?
Absolutely. We're working on it, girlfriend.
Okay.
You got it.
All right, everyone, have a nice evening. Thank
What
you for
about
staying
Ben
up
and
late.
Jen's website?
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good call. Thank you.
Yes, if you interested in this work, please go to their website. It's called explosivesexualhealing.com, or it's a lot easier to just Google Ben Rode, BenRode. He's all over, and they are now the #1 sexual healer on Google search, which is quite amazing. In such a short amount of time that the search ranking has gone so high up. So congratulations, Ben and Jen. You guys did not pay us to do this. This was not an infomercial. We actually did want to talk about this and wanted to share what the experience has been like for us. So I look forward to next time with you guys, and have a good evening. Bye.
Bye, everybody.